Hey guys, it's Luke here with Bandits from Mars, and we're hanging out at awesome Wellycon. We're having an awesome time in Wellington. And I managed to get my good friend Sam McDonald, designer of Architects for the West Kingdom and one of the head honchos over at Garphill Games. He is one of the few people in the world that actually played through all 12 missions on it as part of the team. And he's very familiar with Regicide Legacy. I've grabbed him for a couple of questions, and we'll see what he has to say. Thank you so much, Sam, for hanging out.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
First, I wanted to ask you, when you heard that there was going to be something called Regicide Legacy, what did that sort of bring to mind? What were you thinking about?
Yeah, so I've played a lot of Legacy games, and I also played quite a bit of Regicide, the base game. And I was sort of thinking, what can they really do? Because the Legacy games that I've played have been a big box games to start, like Pandemics, Ticket to Ride, that sort of thing. So you're starting with a big box and already quite a lot of components, and being able to tweak all those components gives them a lot of things to do. But Regicide is just a little box of cards with a very simple rule set. So I was excited because I am a big fan of Regicide, but I wasn't really sure how far you could take it. And man, was I wrong. I was blown out of the water by just all the extra details, all the extra little twists that you guys pull as the game designers for the players. There's really a lot to explore. I would love to spoil some of it, but I'm not going to. But yeah, it just blew my expectations out of the water.
Oh, it's so cool to hear. I will actually spoil something, but I've got another question for you first. Without going into specific details, what was sort of like the biggest take or the biggest thing that you enjoyed about the general gaming experience?
Yeah, so Regicide Legacy, every game is sort of a unique scenario. Obviously, you know that, but it creates a new puzzle. But the really cool thing is, if you've played a lot of Regicide, or if you haven't, you learn as you go. You're constantly reevaluating the strength of all the suits. So, to give an example without spoiling, I originally thought that the heart suit was maybe not the strongest of suits. We really like the spades for some defense, or the diamonds for more cards. But the way that the scenarios use the existing systems to change up the formula, using the information you already have, is beautiful. You're figuring out these puzzles, you're solving these problems that the game gives you in a really cool way.
And it's always fun to end a mission and look at everyone around you and say, I clear it's the best class for this mission?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's good value. Look, appreciate your time, Sam. One last thing. On our video on the Kickstarter page, it says Gain Your Relics, and they get to see the Bantam flute extreme close up. Probably can't see that. But Sam, why don't you tell the people watching what it does, how it works, and what it does to the game?
This is the Bantam flute. I'm just going to read out what it says. When you form an attack, other players may add cards to it, as long as the added cards form a valid combo. So, remember the combo rules. You're pairing up cards of the same value, as long as it's less than 10, typically.
10 or less, yep.
10 or less. So I could play 2 4s, and both of the suits would stack, and it would be an 8 with both of those suits. Now what this does, it brings in a whole level of cooperation. So I could play a 4 and only have one in my hand, and then someone else around the table could play a 4 from their hand. That gives such a sweet feeling of interaction. It means you're actually more engaged on their turn. But also it does something quite cool, where there's a vulnerable play as well. You might be sitting there looking at it too, and you're like, maybe I'm going to play this too, really hoping that someone's going to add a shield to it, someone's going to jump in on it and make it stronger. And then it turns out no one has a 2 in their hand, and you're exposed. But it's such a cool moment when they do, that interaction, and when they don't, also it's a hilarious moment. Bantam flute, it adds a lot to the game, and it's just one of many things that you guys do.
Glad you enjoyed it. It's definitely one of our favourite pieces of the game as well. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Thank you, Sam, for giving us the time to play the game and then to share your feedback today, and enjoy the rest of the convention.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.